Hey guys, before you watch this set of videos, I just want to give a warning. The first video, something went wrong during the recording and it's quite choppy with low frame rate in the beginning, but only the visual, the audio is perfectly fine. So the first video, first little bit of it, it's a little bit choppy, but then it smooths out as we go into the game, and the rest of the games are perfectly fine. I actually started with this with more than 4 videos, but a lot of them actually ended up being really choppy, and I just cut them all together. And I think 4 videos may not be quite enough to showcase the deck, so I'm gonna go ahead and record another set of 3 or 4 games, which will be published separately from this one. All right, let's see what this game has in store for us. This hand is actually pretty good. Turn 1 play, turn 3 play, turn 5 play, and the vanquish for whenever we need, and we have 3 power sources, giving us access to double red and double green. This hand's fine. Actually, this is one of the better hands. We're okay against aggro or mid-range or control. So, oh, there's a 7-drop. Nice. So in this deck, you almost always seek power for Fire Sigil, because you run 3 copies of Roland's Favor, which only gets you green. So whenever you can, I find that with this deck, you're usually starved for red mana. So, okay. I'm gonna go ahead and torch that now, in case he slaps a weapon onto it next. Not a lot of Argenport decks these days run a lot of weapons that you would slap onto an Argenport Instigator, but, you know, just in case. Now we need to draw some power. We're going to go ahead and play the Spirit Guide for no value here. I mean, if he has a removal spell, he has a removal spell. No big deal. It's 1 less removal for the Throne Warden, right? Okay. Yes! If I just draw... Actually, if I draw nothing but power for the rest of this game, I have a pretty good shot at winning this game, because this hand is really strong. Oh, how perfect is this? Yeah. I don't mind drawing 2 more. Like I said, if I just draw nothing but power, I think this hand might be good enough. Alright. Break on the power, but still very lucky that we drew two power running back to back over the last 2 turns when we're stuck on 3, so this is quite lucky. He's gonna have to spend all his whole hand to get rid of these 2 Throne Wardens, I think. Yeah, this is great. This is why I love Throne Wardens. And I still have... Oh, perfect. Perfect. And I still have 6 armor here. So when I play this die show, it's gonna be like a 4-14 die show. It's gonna be great. If only I had a Rise to challenge this thing. Oh no. Oh, actually, I have 10 defense here. I can actually just double shoot this thing and trade. That's an option. The problem with putting Deforged Plate onto this thing is, if he attacks with the Tavert and he finds any weapon, it will kill it. But he needs to trade his Tavert. Unless he has a removal spell, in which case it really sucks. Huh, that's interesting. So, by playing the die show, I can kill the Tavert, and I lose all 10 of my armor because this thing's gigantic. Alternatively, I can be a little bit more greedy. I can play the Throne Warden first. No. I think I'm going to be ultra greedy here and do this. We do a big chunk of damage, we get a Warcry trigger out of it, which is pretty decent. And if he does not have a removal spell, then he has to lose his Tavert on the attack in. And no matter what weapons he grabs, he'll kill my 7, but then on my following turn, my Daisho will kill his weapon. Oh no. Oh, that's not good. That's not good at all. And he finds something. Oh dear. Alright, so everything has gone wrong. And now he can play a weapon to kill my 7/8 as well. Ooh, this is ugly. Oh, hey. Perfect. Let's just kill it and attack him. Perfect. So he found a weapon of some kind, I believe. that means he's going to be able to kill this with basically any weapon that he grabs off of Tavern is going to kill this, even if it's the weakest one in his deck, which was it's the hammer, I think. So the rune hammer will be 9-1, which would definitely kill this. Oh, he grabbed a gem blade. I will make this trade. That's a good trade. Now I can hit him for 8 next turn. Yep, I'll hit him for 8. Yeah. I played the die show before the Throne Warden because the die show can hit right away. And then, yeah, even like this is fine. Afterwards, I played the Throne Warden. It has 8 power. Now it's an 8-4-8. We still can't kill that, unfortunately. But, oh, you know what? I guess we can kill it if we do it twice, but man, we're taking a lot of damage for this. Well, let's do it anyway. That's too bad. Alternatively, we play the Enforcer and silence it, but but it's still a giant unit. I still have to kill it at some point. So I think this is fine because what I'll do here, if I draw power, I play Icaria. If I don't, I just Deep Forge play this, and there's no way he can answer this. He chump blocks. He needs 2 removal spells. He has 1 card in his hand. He's not going to be able to kill my my Warden here. And unless he draws 2 removal spells, even if he has 2 removal spells, I think he still dies because my hand is just incredible. Yeah. Yep. Deep Forge Plate onto an Aegis unit. Very, very strong. A lot of cards that gives you incidental life gain and armor gain. Very strong in terms of late game stability against things that like to do damage to you. And like in that game, anytime I cast Icaria, I would have been game over. And he even had the ability to attack us with Tavern once before we found an answer. And we still won that game. So it kind of shows you how powerful some of these late game Rakano cards are. I think it's interesting that a lot of these very, very powerful Rakano cards are only used in 3+ power, 3+ faction sort of mid-range control decks like Armory, or these 3-color Armory decks nowadays that has time instead of shadow, etc. But hey, just straight up Rakano is still pretty effective. One thing I wanted to do with this deck is to squeeze in a couple copies, or at least 1 copy of Jack, because it's a silencing effect just like the Valkyrie, but it stuns as well, and it's also a very sizable attacker, and also fantastic with Deep Forge Plate. Having quick strike with a giant unit with a Deep Forge Plate pretty much means that you're never going to lose combat, regardless of how many units your opponent has to block with. So very soon, I think I'm just going to take out the body and put in a copy of Jack instead as a silver bullet. So yeah, anyway, on to the next game. Let's see. This hand is pretty mediocre. This is effectively a 5 power hand, and I think 5 power hands are typically not keepable, especially because our only 2 cards aren't really that impactful in the early game. In fact, not impactful at all. It's just gonna draw removal and die, or block something and die. So that's this is like only marginally better because these 2 3-drops are a little bit more impactful compared to the Iljins. At the very least, I can neutralize something and hopefully gain 6 life every turn, or whatever, 3 life every turn from the flyer. It's unlikely that the Spirit Guide ever gets to attack. Ooh, that's a very good draw. Okay, well, that's great. They rise to the challenge as a kind of a tutor for a silver bullet, or tutor for anything that I need, depending on the situation, has made this hand a lot better. But this is still a 5 power hand with 3 real spells. Oh, make it a 6 power hand. This is quite rough. I'm gonna go ahead and play the Spirit Guide for no value, because I don't want to play the Enforcer without silencing something, and I don't want to do nothing. So I think playing it as a 3/3 life steal is perfectly fine. So we'll just hit him for 3. We're playing against Chalice apparently. So against Chalice, I think our answers. I think our best card against Chalice is pretty much always going to be Icaria or a Steel Star Die Show. But because we have no way to pump the Die Show right now, it's a 4/4. It's not good enough. A lot of Chalice's units have 5 health, so it's insufficient. And Deep Forge Plate is not good unless I have a Aegis unit to put it onto. Oh, actually, it's a 6/4. Once I rise to the challenge, it is a 6/4. That's interesting. Maybe a Runehammer, but no, not the Runehammer. I think we're just gonna go ahead and grab a Furnace Mage here, with the expectation that he's gonna play a Chalice relatively soon, and we'll just kill his first Chalice. And we have some pretty good. I have a really good way to sink my mana with the Il'jin here. The question is, do I play around Harsh Rule? He hasn't played anything, but because we're ahead and there's no good targets for the Furnace Mage or the Valkyrie Enforcer, I'm not very inclined to play either of them out. We can play Il'jin when we hit 7 power, because then we can activate it immediately. So let's just go ahead and... So playing the Copper Hall Bailiff and playing the Enforcer is exactly the same. It allows us to attack him for 3 and gain 3 life, basically. He's going to block. But the difference is the Valkyrie Enforcer will be also a pretty decent threat, as in I can hit him in the air for 3 every turn with this. So it's a better play than the Bailiff here. I should have attacked him for 3, I forgot. I just completely forgot to do it. I guess we'll just hit him for 3 here. Hitting him for 3 in the air per turn is good enough for me. I'm not super big on... Because what I could also do is I can play out the Copper Hall Bailiff and attack him with both units, and I can Torch to finish something off. But if I do all that, I would have used up 4 cards. Well, 3 cards on the board and 1 card in the yard. And if he Harsh Rules, then I just lose everything. So I feel like that's not a very good trade. As long as I hit him for 3 in the air per turn, we can just go ahead and wait for him to overextend on the board here. I do feel like we have some pretty powerful late game weapons against Control. So here I can play Il'jin, pump this, and attack him as a 7/7. There's nothing he can really do. And this basically forces him to do something immediately or lose the game. So, yeah. Actually, we'll do it to this one, because now we can attack. And it'll take him basically another unit like a Desert Marshal, silencing this and then quadruple blocking this to kill it. So he's chosen not to block, which makes me think he doesn't have a Harsh Rule, because otherwise he would just chomp and then play the Harsh Rule, right? Oh, okay, well that's fine too. I can just pump this turn. Yeah, the Il'jin is doing really well here against Chalice. I'm at 33 life. He doesn't have, you know, contrary to popular belief, your opponent doesn't always have the Harsh Rule. Here's 7 damage. Opponent's very close to dead here. Yep, I'm perfectly fine not playing any more units. He pretty much has to play a Harsh Rule now. And if he doesn't play a Harsh... If he somehow kills my 7/7... Yep, just enough. I'll just play the Thorn Warden here. I mean, he can't deal with the Thorn Warden anyway. He needs 2 removal spells. No, that's fine. We'll take our 5. He's very close to being dead to another Torch, so we're going to hold on to the Torch here. Yep. And there we go. Perfect example of how Il'jin shines against control decks. One of the biggest problems when you play against control with an aggressive deck, even a mid-range deck, is once they start clogging up the ground like my opponent just did there, you have no option but to clog up the ground by continuing to play more and more threats in hope that you can overwhelm his ground defenses, and then your opponent just Harsh Rules and you lose everything. So the trick to beating that kind of a setup, it's a very powerful strategy, and I think Chalice is one of the best decks, and that's exactly why it's good. You As a control deck, you keep playing cantrips, basically units that you play and you grab a land or a power, you grab another card. So the units themselves are completely expendable, but they just clog up the ground and waste your opponent's time. And your opponent either slowly chip away at them one at a time, and you just chump block every turn, and you buy yourself infinite number of turns to draw whatever you need, or your opponent is forced to overextend onto the board to hope to go over top of your little units. And with cards like Illigen, the Imperial Armor, you don't have to. You just play that plus one other threat, you keep pumping it until your opponent kills it, then you play another threat and you keep pumping it until your opponent kills it. It's really powerful, and the fact that it's 3/2 dodges Vanquish. So there you go. A very easy win against Chalice. Alright, let's see what this game brings us. Lord Erebus. I believe this is a legendary god in Magic the Gathering. Forgot the name of the set. This hand is almost good enough. One more power instead of a 5-drop would have been perfect, but as it is, we have to redraw this. It's just because it's very risky. Everything here requires double green. Oh, I guess that requires double red. But it's very risky. You need to draw power, and even when you draw a power, you're playing one spell at a time, and you have very heavy color influences, either double green or double red. So if you just drew another red, you can play the Illigen, which is a 3/2, but then you're stuck with all the double green cards in your hand until you draw the second green. That's very, very risky. Not to mention our deck has a lot of 7-drops and 5-drops. And Rise to the Challenge is a very slow card. You need 2 turns and you need a lot of power for it to be useful. You can't keep hands with only 2 power like that. This hand isn't any better, by the way. This hand is just as bad, if not worse, because at least with the last hand, any power we draw, we have a bunch of plays, or at least 1 play. In this hand, we have no plays until we draw at least 2 more power. So I think we're in a lot of trouble here. This is a much worse hand than the first one, but we drew a power. Perfect. Very lucky for us. That was very lucky. We drew. So now we're at 3 power, 4 power. We can start playing. If this is Chalice, and it's looking like it very well could be Chalice, we just Furnace Mage is first Chalice, Navani, get it vanquished away, whatever. it's fine. Navani is actually not that bad against Desert Marshals, because a 4/4 body is still a 4/4 body. It can still attack and do some damage. So there's that. And if he doesn't have a removal spell here, he basically needs to have the Desert Marshal or the Vanquish right away, or I'm going to get some good value off of this Avani here. I'm going to open a pop can here, pardon the noise. Let's see what he's got. Oh, he's got an Archive Curator, an all-star in Draft. But we're stuck on power. That's not good. And you don't see a lot of Chalice decks running this card, but I do like it quite a bit. It is pretty expensive though, 4 power. Alright, we're screwed until we draw 3 more power to play Icaria, and then in which case we'll be in good shape. But alright, now we can't even attack him. 2/5. Bricks our offenses. Perfect. I want to go ahead and play the Throne Warden here. We would way rather put the Deep Forge plate under the Throne Warden. It demands 2 answers, and even silencing it isn't that amazing. I mean, a 9/9 silenced is still a 9/9. So he needs removal spells. He needs to play a combination of Desert Marshal and Vanquish, and or Partial Rules, which will be very good for us. Okay, so there's the Desert Marshal. That's fair. There's the Chalice. Plays a land. Yep. So my opponent's obviously an experienced Chalice player. He doesn't play the Chalice until he's ready to use it. Let's get rid of the Chalice first. A 3/6 flyer is pretty good. 3 damage, 3 damage per turn in the air. 6 power toughness will block a lot of stuff. So I think our best draw possible would be a power, and then we play Icaria. We swing in for 5. He blocks, which is fine. And then following turn we slap the Deep Forge plate onto it, and then he is in a lot of trouble. And that next turn, we're just going to go ahead and Icaria and attack him with our units. His most profitable... Oh, he's getting hit for 5 then. His most profitable block... Oh, actually, now that he has this, he has a lot of profitable blocks. So that's not too good. Alright, so now we have a problem. Do I wait for the Icaria, or do I just go ahead and slap this on and attack him? I have a feeling my opponent has removal spells. I have a feeling he has Island's Choice in his hand. If I don't do anything, he has no attack, but he has a 3 damage per turn clock. Yeah, I'm gonna wait. I'm not too concerned about getting in some damage. Like, even if I put a plate on this 9/9, I mean, he's at 29 life. He has tons of blockers. I'm pretty sure he has removal spells. So why don't we play it safe and wait until we have this, which is very hard for Chalice to answer. The best thing he can have is a Scorpion Wasp, but I think a lot of Chalice decks don't run very many copies of Scorpion Wasp anymore. So he's probably thinking if he should Island's Choice this and then probably wait next turn to vanquish it. Okay, so he's going to Desert Marshal it first, and probably... Okay, that's fine. That still exhausts 2 cards in his hand. The next Icaria is going to be much more difficult for him to answer. So now I'm actually wondering, if those are both... Oh, I drew it. Never mind. I'm just going to go ahead. I was going to say, one option I have is to put the Deep Forge plate onto a 4/4 and attack him and force him to use his last remaining removal spell first. But because we drew Rise to the challenge and we can easily just search for the third Icaria here, I'm not worried about throwing this one away. He needs to have 2 removal spells right now. Okay, so he's gonna... I think he's thinking about Harsh Ruling next turn. That card in his hand is most likely a Harsh Rule. If he attacks us with everything, then it's 100% Harsh Rule, and then we'll just block whatever we can and take less damage. Never mind, he does have that Vanquish. Alright then. He actually has enough to kill this, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, yeah. And I can only kill a certain number of units. Whoa! Look at how big this Rune Hammer is. Alright, let's grab another Icaria, play a power, and pass the turn. So my opponent needs 2 more removal spells or he's toast. Yeah, this is why I play 4 copies of Icaria and 4 copies of Rise to the challenge. So many decks have trouble against Icaria. He saw me cast the Rise, so he knows there's going to be another copy of Icaria in my hand. So he may not attack with his 3/6, which I think... I mean, it doesn't really matter if you attack with a 3/6 or not, because if you Rise for an Icaria, it's a 7/5. He's going to pump this, I see. That's a fair move. No! That's a really bad move. You want to save this to trigger Icaria. Alright. I think my opponent made a mistake with playing the Combat Healer. What it should have done was either save it for the Icaria or play it and pump the 3/6 to make it a 3/9, in which case the Icaria can't kill it. So I think of the 3 options, our opponent made the worst one. We're not worried about the 6/6 here. I mean, this 4/4 here at all. He has no more removal spells because we have completely exhausted all of his resources. He is going to die very quickly here. We're going to go ahead and vanquish the 4/4 later, so we don't take damage from it. Because he's... Oh, actually, this thing has 16 toughness. Alright. It's a 1916. Oh, that's hilarious. Alright, yeah, Icaria. That card is just so incredibly powerful. Oh yeah, I should name this deck. I have a name for this deck. Icaria Plate, because that's exactly what we do. We play Icaria and we put a plate on it, and people just concede. Alright, that was a good game. And yeah, even like against Chalice, the fact that our Furnace Mage has killed the first copy of the Chalice has made such a big difference. Alright, let's keep going. My original plan was to record a bunch of videos and then sort of cherry pick certain games, and some games where I win, and then maybe a few games where I lose. But since recording the draft, we've actually not lost any games. Two Chalice opponents, an Argent Port opponent, a Praxis opponent, a Fountain Control opponent, and a Stone Scar opponent. So, yeah, deck's doing pretty well. One more game and we're into Masters, so we're in a 6-game winning streak. Or 5-game winning streak. Let's go. Now that I've said it, I think we'll lose this game. This game is going to be our combo breaker and set us back. This hand's perfect. Turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4. Wow, you can't ask for a better hand than this. It's good against all early game decks. Not the best against control, but decently fine. And we have access to 4 power already. So 3 more and we can play Icaria. This hand's very, very good. Yeah. Mulligan decisions, always just, you look at your hand, you look at the power you have access to, and ask yourself, what does it take for this hand to be good, right? And it doesn't take much. This hand has basically all of our plays lined up for us in the first 4 turns, and even have access to 4 power. It doesn't take a lot for this hand to be very, very good. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with an Illigen here and get it killed by something. In this deck, actually the only thing that will kill it is a Slay. Oh, well, I guess silencing it is just as good. It's a Slay, but I don't know if I want to torch this and play another threat, or just simply hammer this and attack him. I think I'm going to save the Runehammer until a little bit later, because I think this deck runs a lot of Vera's favors, and he could very well be saving his Vera favor. So let's just go ahead and... I don't actually know if I need to torch this. I don't know how much I care about the Enforcer, to be honest. Let's just attack him and see if he'll trade. I don't think he will, because his unit's clearly better than my Silence unit here. Let's play a Spirit Guide, and let's just torch this. I don't want him to put a weapon onto it and take like 6 damage, for example, from, you know, like a Bloodletter. Or possibly a Falchion, which I don't think a lot of people play. But, oh, hey, Bailiff. Very good. My opponent's deck has a lot of similar cards to mine. Here, I think we're just going to go ahead and hammer that away. I actually forgot that we have 2 armor from the Roland's Choice, so the Vera's Favor wouldn't have done the job. He needs to do 3 damage to it. So an Extract would do it, but very few decks run Extract. Alright, another... So if I draw Power, I'll be perfect. A Stone Warden... Nope, don't draw Power. That's too bad. I think... I don't really want to trade my Runehammer for the 3/3 here. But I don't want to play the Valkyrie either. If I play the Valkyrie and silence this, then I can save my hammer. But the problem is, if he plays a Tavert next turn, then I'm pretty much dead. So I think what I'll do instead is just go ahead and trade him. Do 4 damage to him. And then play the Illigen here, which demands an answer right away. If he spends time killing the Illigen, he won't be playing the Tavert. And if he plays Tavert, then he won't be killing the Illigen. So, okay. The only thing he can do is power Slay. If he doesn't, then this is going to become a much big... Oh, wow. Yep, Valkyrie Enforcers is one of the best 3-drops in the game, in my opinion. I just love that card. It's super strong. Let's just go ahead and attack him for 3 here. All of my cards are silenced, but that's just less silencing effects for Icaria when we eventually draw into it. So let's just go ahead and play the Throne Warden here. Still saving the Valkyrie Enforcer for a must silence threat. There's no reason to play it out there for 3 damage in the air here. Yep, that's fine. If he couldn't kill the Illigen, he may not be able to kill the Throne Warden either. Oh, no, has a handful of Annihilate saved up. This is a very slow control deck. This is an Arch Import control deck, and I think Lights Out Ace did a deck tech on this a little while ago. So my question is, do I go ahead and Deep Forge Plate and attack him? I think say if we D-Forge play 7, this is 9 damage, bring him to 5. I think I would rather surprise him with it than... Yeah, I'd rather surprise him next turn. We'll play the Spirit Guide first. The difference between playing that and that is, well, 2 damage really if I play this next turn. Yeah, so there we go. This surprise is going to destroy him. Because he thinks he's okay with the sword, but he's not. So that has worked out really well. Because had we played the D-Forge play previous turn, he would have just killed our unit with the Sky Sword, and he would have actually kept the Sky Sword. So, oh, that would have killed it as well. Alright, let's attack him for 2. Let's play a Throne Warden. Opponent's playing a very slow control deck. He's going to have trouble getting rid of this 4/4, I think. Oh, no, he doesn't. Okay, so he's very close to dead here. Man, a lot of 8 drops in our opponent's deck. He goes to 2, he dies to any one of our many torches, and he also dies to any weapon or just us attacking him, unless he kill both of our units here. Okay, so there's the Tavert as expected. Finally drew it. So we're gonna go ahead and silence it. So we don't want to deal with it. But we have no attack. We kill him next turn with the Valkyrie Enforcer unless he draws a removal spell. Yep, we grinded out a pretty slow control deck. Although, Argenport control decks doesn't have a lot of card advantage. In fact, it has 0 card advantage, unless you count Harsh Rule as one, or if they play multiple copies of Sleepless Nights, or if they manage to find a lot of hits with Tavert, which they don't. They miss a lot with Tavert because they run very few targets for it. I run a deck very similar to it as well. When I play Armory, my Tavert misses all the time. So there we go, 6 or 7, whatever wins in a row. We're in ranked. We hit ranked masters. We're at rank 28. I think the rank that you end up with is directly related to your MMR. So the faster you get into masters with a very good win rate, like I did, the higher up you place in the rankings. In the last month, I spent half a month messing around with brews, and I had a terrible MMR, and as a result of that, I got into masters at 1,150 or so ranks. But this month is quite a bit different. It's only, I think, what's today's date? It's December 4th. So I've been playing a lot of games over the last few days because I was bored, and I've been using real decks instead of janky decks. So I have a very high win rate. So anyway, we are going to most likely not gonna have a janky deck this month unless somebody gives me a really good idea. But what I'm really excited for though is the new sets coming out, and I've been spending a lot of time looking at the spoilers and coming up with ideas on how to use them. In fact, the Spoiled Dragon, the 3-faction dragon, I already have a deck in mind, which is a 3 or 4 color Moment of Creation deck that is very heavy on spells and Moment of Creation, and also with that new dragon, which basically wants you to have a lot of spells in your void, which is a perfect fit for the deck. So hopefully when the new set comes out, I will playtest the hell out of that deck and come up with a competitive list for that. So that should be really fun. All right, thanks for watching, guys.